Hello and welcome. I appreciate everybody joining us this morning for this month's webinar, which is Competing and Winning Against Amazon. Amazon Business, what is your strategy? This is a very exciting topic for us and one that we often discuss with clients and prospective clients in the distribution manufacturing space. So appreciate you joining us and look forward to sharing some details of what we've learned over the last year or two in regards to what Amazon is doing and what is working and what isn't, and competing against them and helping to create strategies. My name is Eric Levy. I'm the Director of Sales here at Meridian Business Services, and I'm joined by Doug Borcherding, our Managing Director as well.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
A little background and agenda before we jump right into it. We will be reviewing a few introductions. Who is Meridian and what do we do? We'll go over the status of the Amazon business impacts and really the shift in the customer expectation. And then talk about what you can do to insulate yourself and to help win over your customer base and ensure that that you don't have loss to Amazon. And then we'll end it just talking about the work that we do with the Nestle platform as well. So in terms of who is Meridian, Meridian started out as a financial services and CPA firm, really a professional services firm helping business owners with all aspects of their financial management. We quickly, soon after founding 10 years ago, had clients that were asking about financial management systems, outgrowing QuickBooks, coming off of legacy green screen systems, and looking for the next solution. And at the time, we started working with a platform called NetLedger. It's now called NetSuite, and it's one of the leading ERPs widely used in manufacturing and distribution. About 60% of its new client base is in companies that have heavy supply chains such as manufacturing and wholesale distribution. So we commonly have these discussions, as mentioned previously, with clients and prospective clients as far as e-commerce strategy, as far as business agility, going to market, and taking on the changing business environment that we live in. And one of the key topics there is what is Amazon doing in that space and how to compete against it. So to set the stage in terms of where Amazon is with B2B, we are all very familiar with them in terms of B2C, but their B2B customers are expanding at a rapid pace. Here it is broken down by various segments. You can see general business services is almost 200%. Most of these are almost at 200% growth. So it's rapidly expanding into these areas. Wholesale is at about 180% as well. So Amazon is significantly targeting these areas. And it's important to note that this is year-over-year growth from 2016 to 2017. So in 2018 and 2019, they've even been targeting it more heavily and expect to see continued growth over the next few years. So, we are seeing more and more organizations realizing that the status quo won't cut it moving forward, that need to have a strategy in place and need to consider, Amazon as a competitor and potentially how to compete against them. So let's talk about what it means to compete and what their go-to market message is. So this is an email and part of a campaign from Amazon Business. That's the business segment, of course, of Amazon with separate business logins, separate business pricing, promotional offers for businesses, one-day or same-day delivery for businesses as well. So one of their key messages is really around easy and stress-free purchasing, streamlining procurement, providing businesses of all size with an e-procurement solution built into their platform, exclusive savings, as you can see across the bottom, affordable shipping, multi-user accounts with analytics and, the ability to provide rich resources. And then, of course, the ease of use of, that so many people will become accustomed to with Amazon's B2C world, and flexibility in terms, and paying the way you want. So this really breaks down their core message. We talked about the easy, stress-free purchasing. Look at on the left side, I just took this out and highlighted some of the key words that came out as what their message is. Cutting costs, simple, easy, just works, designed for your business, easy, and competitive prices. So if you break that down to their 4 core messages, it's exclusive savings, fast, affordable shipping. It's one solution, so a single multi-user interface allowing multiple people in the organization to access it, and having purchasing controls as well, and tracking spending and analytics. And then, of course, as I mentioned, paying the way that you want, whether it's a line of credit or P-card options. So this is, a lot of times when we're having these discussions, we'll get to the point of, well, that can't impact my business. I'm, in a distributor of plumbing parts or HVAC, or there's a level of service and knowledge that my team has that that it can't impact. And I'll get to that in a minute, but I do want to take that off the table and say, here you can buy a air conditioner replacement, for instance, on Amazon, and have it even a quote for installation. Now, I think that we're a long ways off from that being done, on a mass basis, but we need to be aware of what the future holds, and be able to overcome that messaging in order to win in the local marketplace. And a prime example of what happens when you don't do that is Blockbuster. There's now only one Blockbuster left on the planet. I think, 20 years ago, Blockbuster was opening a store every 15 or 18 hours. Incredible growth until it stopped and dried up. And so the Blockbuster executives, as you can see on the right, actually had the opportunity to acquire Netflix, and they used a variety of facts and air quotes to base their opinion that Netflix wasn't the future. And those included that customers wanted a Blockbuster experience. They thought that people liked running into the neighborhood stores and wanted to purchase popcorn, and liked talking to the Blockbuster video person to get their feedback on what movie they should watch. And as Gary Vaynerchuk mentioned, in this quote, when I want a movie, I want to lay naked in bed and hit a button. And that's really, what it's come down to. How can you make it easy for me to order and not have to go into a Blockbuster? So I think this, establishes that we do see trends and changes in society, and we need to be ready to insulate against those. We need to be able to ready to capitalize on opportunities, look for the opportunity and capitalize on those, and then also be wary of, basing a decision on facts. Once again, an air quote, or what we believe to be facts, rather than the direction an industry is actually going. So, before we, I think this is just one other interesting point to make before we, talk about just what Amazon is doing now and why they're seeing growth, is that, I oftentimes will hear from organizations that, in distribution that, our customers love us. We have great customer loyalty. And, the one thing that I'd have is that I ask is that almost half of millennials say that they'd rather give up sex than quit Amazon for a year. Is your customer base that loyal? Amazon's is. So I think just keeping in mind, how can you create loyalty? How do you measure loyalty? Are your customers able to shop in the middle of the night? Are they able to, to do what they need outside of business hours to make it easy, especially if there's, we're finding more and more, people are looking to expand their, hours. So, for instance, in plumbing or HVAC distribution, your local HVAC distributor is, working on a job during the day and then able to, to procure parts or, have interactions with your company in the off hours. So, once again, are your customers that loyal? Some other things that I hear from distributors and, other organizations we work with is, come in, we're local, we love our customers, we provide customer service. Once again, are you creating that level of loyalty that Amazon is? And so I think it's, possibly changing the message away from these. These are still important messages, but it's looking at really 4 different, true advantages. And that is, providing the value-added service. So what knowledge do you have that's local, and selling your local expertise and your local service, along with the core focus in an area. Amazon is spread across so many different areas that how can they, possibly have expertise in your particular area? How can they have the, pricing optimized right, the, the knowledge and the industry experience and expertise to help the customers, especially when something goes wrong, with the customer? How can they ensure that they will take care of that customer? So I think really selling those. And then the 4th area is, providing an interactive, easy-to-use solution. If you remember how many times easy came up on that Amazon, the Amazon brochure, their marketing materials, I think something to ask internally is how easy is it to work with? And you might think that, for your customers, it's easy to pick up the phone and call you and have them get taken care of. With a changing user base, especially as you look towards millennials, there's a lot of millennials that don't want to pick up the phone, that want to be able to order online, that want to be able to have, that easy access across a variety of different communication mechanisms. So I think I challenge you to ask how easy is it truly to interact with your organization, and ask your customers that, get the feedback, really dig into it. And one of those ways that we're seeing is becoming, a game changer is providing world-class customer experience that's both traditional and digital, and you can't forget about the local expertise and service.
Yeah, Eric, if I might, one of the stats I saw was that, with the advent of the voice-assisted, tools, the Alexas, the Siris, the Cortanas of the world, they're estimating in the next 4 or 5 years that over 70% of all online ordering is going to go through assistants like that. And they said unless you're top 2, possibly 3 on a search hit, so your SEO, through those, you don't even get considered. What this says to, like the example of the millennials and, how they navigate different ordering mechanisms, be it online, the phone really isn't leveraged anymore. But when we talk about digital transformation, it's really about the process agility between all of those channels: voice ordering, phone, email, online, et cetera, and coming together. And that's where really the digital transformation comes into play. The legacy environments we deal with day in, day out really aren't built to seamlessly allow an organization to understand what's happened through any given channel and connect the dots so that you can interact so that your customers can interact in how they choose, and you can then take action based on how they've interacted with you. Might be through a single transaction, might touch 4 different channels before it's said and done, depending on its complexity. And that's really it's a whole separate topic on the process agility curve that we could get into at a later date.
I think that's a great point, Doug, and I think it's important. It ties back with the previous slide that we saw of Blockbuster, is truly asking what are your customers' desires, what makes it easy for them, because they might respond that picking up the phone and making a call today is easy, but is that truly when they have the opportunity to have a different means of communication or interaction with your company, or with Amazon or another organization for that matter, that they wouldn't find that easier, just as we saw with the transformation from Blockbuster to Netflix. So when we talk about the B2B online commerce experience and market, in 2018, Forrester reported it's about a $9 trillion market, and the report estimated that EDI networks are about half of that. So EDI, electronic data interchange between different systems. But it is important that EDI is slowing. EDI to a certain degree has lost its peak. And we're seeing other procurement solutions and avenues really increasing and picking up speed, especially as we look towards forecasts towards the next few years. So you can see down below the breakdown of the various avenues. And I think it's important to mention that the B2B true e-commerce, so website e-commerce, is growing at over a 10% CAGR over the last 6 years, and is forecast to continue to grow 10% to 1.8 trillion. So that's just website, B2B e-commerce, and the other avenues are continuing to grow as well. So, I think in looking at the data, if you plot it out, that EDI is 30 years old, and although it's still very prevalent, it's reaching its peak. We're starting to see other mechanisms for interacting with purchasing, grow, especially if you look towards suppliers' websites, other avenues as well. So we will continue to see growth over the next several years for e-commerce. And it doesn't mean that EDI is going to be in the decline. It's just that it's starting to reach its peak, and there are other avenues that are coming up that will lead to growth in the next 5 years in terms of B2B e-commerce. So when we look at this, we call this effect the Amazon and Google effect. And that really is that customers are expecting a world-class customer experience. It's being driven from our B2C lives. Think about how easy it is to go on Amazon, click a button, and that item shows up in a few hours on your doorstep. So that's the part of the Amazon effect, is that they're setting the very high standard for customers. Customers are expecting real-time stock visibility, confirmed delivery schedules even the same day, ability to call a customer service minutes after placing an order and add an extra item, etc. And so where the Google effect comes in, or what we call the Amazon Google effect, is that when a customer's expectations aren't met, it's really easy for a customer to Google and quickly find a new business, to find everything they want to know about that business, reviews, find details online. And so we're finding that businesses aren't as sticky as they used to be. They're not retaining. It's easy for customers to switch if a business is not meeting the customer's expectations, based on just the ease of being able to find a new source and promise for enhanced customer interactions from that new source. So, what are the solutions? We've talked about B2B e-commerce that's shifting in that direction, and we really want to break it down into these 5 areas that of what we suggest in terms of staying competitive. So self-sufficiency. as Doug mentioned, that business agility, being able to change business processes on the fly, not have to go find a coder to, code a whole new system or business process in a legacy system, but being able to change those business processes, even just as a business process owner, and not being reliant on IT. So that allows for the businesses to grow at a faster rate without requiring costly support from vendors and other costly software updates. Workflow tools. I think this plays into the previous one. Is the system that allows for editing workflows in a low code or no code graphical manner. So all of a sudden you're empowering your power users or your business users to make those business process changes, to have a greater level of responsibility. It's the consumerization of software and modifying business processes. So what used to take 6 months to roll out takes weeks or a month now to change business processes. So having that flexibility and ease of changes, which rolls right to the next one. Being able to, adapt to the shifts in business. So whether that's customer self-service, e-procurement, e-commerce, flexible EDI, whether it's enhanced reporting to your customers, enhanced internal reporting. As we look down the road, even, things like artificial intelligence, we're starting to see play into, supply chains, blockchain, that's all a ways down the road, but having a system that will provide the flexibility to meet future generations, of an organization, and do it without having to re-platform or to retool every few years from an IT perspective.
So what this says to me, Eric, is that, while we've got some technology buzzwords here, it's the workflow tools and the business processes to recognize how either your corporate customers or your consumers are interacting with you, and create the business processes and the workflows to acknowledge their interaction however they choose to work with you, and conduct your business in that fashion. We talked about, omni-channel gets thrown around, but e-commerce, EDI, direct sales, inside sales, AI, all these different ways and it's really the case for, system replacement, is that, the legacy environments or environments that have been cobbled together over multiple years aren't real malleable or flexible in terms of interacting with corporations and customers in this fashion. This is, while you don't have to do all channels all at once, you've got to have a stairway. You got to have a stepwise approach.
And the flexibility to support that, the changes now and then the changes, that will be required in 10 years, so they're having to re-platform. So I think those are some great points, Doug. And then we're moving into a world of, especially in technology, of ecosystems. So what other partners and plugins and solutions work with with your technology? So having a platform that will, with certified applications or apps that are make integration seamless. It's not the days of having to spend 6 months, with a developer trying to write an interface between two different systems that allows these systems to be plug and play and interface seamlessly. So,
yeah. Put another way, ask yourself when you talk about the ecosystem, is the platform I'm considering, if I'm considering making a move to a new ERP landscape or platform, is that platform a destination for folks that are creating cool new widgets and functionality? Is that a system that they must have an interface with? Is that partnership valuable to them?
Think about Apple versus BlackBerry and just the Apple ecosystem and the popularity that's brought to extend their devices. So I'm talking about the same thing in that case. So we, as I alluded to earlier, we work exclusively with NetSuite. NetSuite is a mid-market ERP platform very commonly used in wholesale distribution and manufacturing. One of the reasons that we work with it is the fact that all of the ERP modules run on a single database and a single code base. So that was pointed out by IDC, which is a third-party analyst firm, as an edge over the other systems there. You see NetSuite in the upper right corner as a leader on this. And so that attribute provides quicker access to data relative to the other systems, and relatively seamless updates as well. So what that means is that the ERP, the e-commerce platform, your customer relationship management, CRM, all the different pieces run out of the same database and the same code base. So you have that complete visibility of your customer, ease of access with transacting with your customer across multiple different business processes. Yeah, thank you. Also, it's said another way, in this case, is instead of having a variety of different platforms, one for accounting, web, inventory, sales, and CRM, and analytics, you have one platform that brings everything together in one system. So that improves data fragmentation, having different processes, business processes and silos, having different multiple interfaces, and really, most importantly, different versions of the truth. Doug mentioned a stair-step approach as well. So we commonly follow a stair-step approach with NetSuite, in that we look to in the first stage, elevate, getting off of manual processes and a legacy system, and then as we move up the stairs, it really takes on that of a journey through an ERP process, and allows for growth in the business process development. It's not just going to put software in and we're done. It allows for that continual growth and to do it over time as well.
Look, every business is different. Your requirements may vary from, requirements vary from one customer or one, prospect of ours to another. And, budgets and the problems they're trying to solve for change. So this allows, you don't have to take on the entire NetSuite suite, as it were, up front. You can, pick and choose from amongst the suite of products that are designed to interoperate and work with one another to solve for your particular case. And there's kind of a prescribed path, but that's part of our role with you to help define that and phase out not only the functional capabilities, but the fiscal investment as well.
So, in terms of the user base, NetSuite is used by large and small corporations, from several users to several thousand users. Multi-billion-dollar companies run their business on NetSuite across a variety of different industries. So overall, it's used by about 60,000 plus organizations, and very heavy in manufacturing and wholesale distribution as well. Wanted just to share a little bit about the interface and the idea of the analytics. So NetSuite's a cloud-based platform. It provides easy analytics right on the dashboard, the ability to drill into these analytics and click in and a few clicks away from seeing the numbers that make up any one of the analytics. It's also a role-based system. So various roles in the organization have different, access out of the box. All of this is out of the box with the NetSuite platform. So different dashboards, different visibility to reports, and data access as well. So this is that of an inventory manager, which is different than, a sales rep who might be tracking new leads and opportunities in sales, and that'd be different than a executive. There's also role-based, managing by exception. So the warehouse manager, you might have seen the reminders. These can be easily set up and customized to the exact tasks that a warehouse manager needs to do to run their day. whereas those are different for, sales operations, versus, project management or a senior executive who's looking for, maybe it's sales with less than 15% gross profit, or large sales orders to approve. Mentioned this earlier, but there's also a best-in-class e-commerce platform. So, a leading e-commerce platform called Suite Commerce Advanced is natively part of the ERP system. That's a really important point to make, is that this is being surfaced by the NetSuite platform. There's not a bolt-on application. There's not another product information management database. All of that information resides in NetSuite and is surfaced to a best-in-class e-commerce platform that's used by thousands of companies. So it's not just a lightweight e-commerce solution, but truly a best-in-class solution. Then we also talked about the ecosystem. So the ability to have different solutions that are natively connected to the NetSuite platform. There's over 300 of these solutions available on the Suite App Store. So as much like I mentioned earlier, the Apple App Store, they're all certified and allows for easy integrations that ride through the update process as well. So you're not dealing with one-off integrations. We also tend to follow a agile implementation strategy with the Suite Success model. So we have pre-built workflows that help establish the out-of-the-box landscape for the platform, and we utilize those then to find different business process differences and in some cases challenge those differences of the way an organization might run and say, is that really the way that you want to do it? That's not necessarily a best-in-class approach to doing it that way, or leading practice in doing it that way. And at other times we, adopt those, for an organization because maybe there's a competitive advantage to having that business process in place. But what that allows us to do is to break down the implementation, so it's an agile approach. So every week we are interacting, with our clients in the system, showing the solution as it's being built and getting feedback all along the way. So it's not going away for 6 months and building a solution in a black box and coming back and determining that the requirements were missed or that it doesn't, that certain elements aren't as expected. And then the last area I'll mention is really the flexibility in having the right tools across all different user types. So from a end user having a consumer-based UI that allows them to design and build their own experience, whether that's reports and saved searches, whether it's dashboards across a variety of different mobile devices. Then there's, for business analysts, as I mentioned earlier, being able to have graphical workflow tools that can easily build out workflows in the platform and allow those to be built without coding. From the developer, there's a rich development environment that does allow coding for processes that require more robust means than the workflow tool provides. And then for the administrator, being able to administer the customizations, the roles and security, very robust solution in terms of roles and security. And then for the CIO as well, risk and compliance, transparency, 99.99% uptime, with the platform on a page that's published. This is a status.netsuite.com is a publicly published website that has the uptime results. So, across all user bases, a rich environment to support the organization and moving forward. And that's why we really see NetSuite as being future-proof. It's, the incremental nature, the self-sufficiency in administration. It's truly a comprehensive solution. That single code base and then the industry-specific as well. Dashboards that we showed some of as part of the what's known as Suite Success, or the pre-built dashboards and roles and solutions that are based on leading practices. We also talked about the strong ecosystem, over 300 partners that have developed applications that are certified in that ecosystem. And then, Meridian is really a collaborative partner that is innovating the NetSuite platform and providing, market-leading solutions to companies. And in terms of, the R&D, I think another important point to make is that there's a lot of other systems out there that are growing through acquisition, and NetSuite has grown from the beginning on a single code base, and it's grown organically, not trying to mash together a bunch of different systems, a bunch of different code bases that ends up being really messy and challenging for an organization to implement and users to adopt. So that's really why we see NetSuite as being future-proof and the solution, for our clients in distribution and manufacturing. If you'd like to learn more about today's topic, we do have this report that was put together by Modern Distribution Management. It's a strategic evaluation for distributors. It's really the Amazon playbook that's provided by NetSuite. So it'll help you, several slides and pieces of data were taken from this, but it provides a lot more detail, so it'll help you understand the history, the strengths of Amazon, both their short-term and long-term goals, and grow on the actionable insights and recommendations that we provided during today's conversation. So if you'd like a copy, you can reach out to us at sales@meridianbusiness.com, and we'd be more than happy to send you a copy of that report. This webinar will be available for recording on our website in the next few days. Really appreciate you joining us today, and please feel free to reach out with any questions or to learn more about how Meridian and NetSuite can help your organization. So once again, thank you for joining us, and hope you have a great rest of your day.